Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Tabertown Council meeting for Monday, November 23rd, 2020. First call the meeting to order, please. And just for clarification purpose, Councillor Tams is not able to make today's meeting for the record. And I believe Councillor Stravas indicated he was intending on calling in, but at this time he's not on the line. Is that correct, Al?
No, I'm here.
Oh, all right. We do have Councillor Stravas with us. All right, thank you. You can hear us fine?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I would ask for adoption of the agenda also as presented, please. Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor?
Carried unanimously, thank you. Item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3.1, minutes of special meeting of council November 2nd, 2020. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, yourself and council have the opportunity to adopt the meeting minutes from November the 2nd at your discretion.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising?
Your worship?
All right, Councillor Stravas.
Yes. This is not an error at admission, but this is a correction. I inquired at the last council meeting if an additional agenda item could be added to the special council meeting, and I was told quite vividly that no, it couldn't, and I would like to make a correction to that, and I will read the corresponding excerpts from the Municipal Government Act. Special council meetings, section 194.1, the chief elected official may call a special council meeting whenever the official considers it appropriate to do so. And I won't read all of it in there. I'll go down to the item number 5. No matter other than that stated in the notice calling the special council meeting may be transacted at that meeting unless the whole council is present at the meeting and the council agrees to deal with the matter in question. So therefore, the information that was provided to council on that evening is incorrect. And I would like it stand to be corrected in the minutes, please.
All right, thank you. Mr. Armfield?
Yes, that's certainly no problem. I can bring up the meeting minutes there and just see exactly what my suggestion would be to council would just be to defer the adoption of these council meeting minutes until administration has a look. Oh, everything's disappeared out. Until we have an opportunity to have a look and exactly see what those meeting minutes state, and we just bring them back.
All right, fair enough. All council members agreeable with that suggestion? All right, thank you. Councillor Firth?
I just had a clarification as well for those minutes regarding resolution 379/2020. I just wanted to clarify that the minutes state that it says it was carried unanimously, and I want to clarify that it was my intention to vote in favor of that motion. There was a report that in the video it appeared that I did not vote, and after reviewing the video, it does appear that I did not vote. However, if I was opposed to that motion, I would have stated so during that meeting. So it was my intention to vote in favor, and when Mr. Mayor, you voted or you called that unanimous, I left it at that. But in the future, I will be much clearer about indicating my vote for or against. So just wanted to clarify.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Firth. And just from my clarification perspective, I did call that vote unanimous, as I believe that was a unanimous vote. I looked both directions as always, and I believed all council members indicating they were in favor of that particular motion on the table. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In order to defer this particular item on the agenda, it should be by way of motion, and I'm prepared to make that motion, Mr. Mayor, that we defer the minutes of special meeting of council November the 2nd, 2020, till the next regular scheduled meeting of the town.
All right, thank you. Mr. Armfield?
Your worship?
Just 1 second, Councillor Strauss. Mr. Armfield had chimed in here.
Yes, and just having a look at what the actual meeting minutes state, Councillor Strobus inquired if an additional agenda item could be added to the special council meeting agenda, and that indicates it's Corey Armpelts. The Armpelts stated this is a special council, special meeting of council. Additions to the agenda are not allowed. So whether there's, that is exactly what I stated. Whether there is discrepancy as to whether I provided council with the correct interpretation based off of what's in the Municipal Government Act or not, that certainly can be a matter for conversation between myself and council. But that is an accurate representation of what I said. So that is legitimate, looking that is an accurate recording of exactly what I stated to council. Now we can certainly get into the technicalities of how we would have added something to that agenda had council and had you got all of the details based off of the Municipal Government Act that I could have provided you. But I'm just wanting to state that if we take these away, we're likely not going to change them because that is an accurate representation of what I stated.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Strauss, you had something to add also?
Well, yeah, I would just like to congratulate Councillor Firth for her integrity in identifying that there was an issue and that she came forward to that, and I applaud you for doing so, Councillor Firth. That's very, very good of you.
Thank you, Councillor Strobus.
All right, thank you. And we do have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2, minutes of regular council meeting November 9th, 2020. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, you have these council meetings up for consideration towards adoption.
All right, thank you. Any questions, concerns arising? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on November 9th, 2020 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4, no business arising. Item number 5, bylaws. Item 5.1, third reading bylaw 13/2020, land use bylaw. Mr. Armfield.
This item has been in front of council a number of times. Bring it back for third reading. Yes, here comes Ms. Monks to make a presentation to see if we are successful on third reading tonight. Go ahead, Ms. Monks.
Ms. Monks.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of council.
Good afternoon.
So at the regular meeting of council on October 26, 2020, a public hearing was held for bylaw 13/2020, the Town of Taber Land Use Bylaw. Council also gave second reading of the bylaw at that meeting. At the November 9th, 2020 regular meeting of council, some discussion occurred in relation to section 2.21.18 relating to window signs and whether the maximum area should be removed or potentially the entire section. Administration has reviewed the section and removed the restrictions that council have identified as a concern while leaving the category in the bylaw to allow for approval of those types of signs. Another concern was mentioned in relation to the potential for signage to have restrictions in relation to potential distasteful images or wording. In order to alleviate this, an item has been added to the general signage section, 2.21.1.9. Signs shall not contain statements, words, or pictures that are offensive, obscene, or racist in the opinion of the Development Authority. With these amendments and the previous M1 light industrial changes, administration believes that we have addressed council's identified concerns. The land use bylaw is now updated. All of the advertising and public notice requirements have been met. The bylaw has been reviewed and recommended for approval by the Municipal Planning Commission again at their November 16th, 2020 meeting. And so if council chooses, third reading could be given to finalize the bylaw and bring bylaw 13/2020 into effect.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Garner.
Questions arising in my mind. I'm prepared to make a motion at this time
All right.
that council gives third reading to bylaw 13-2020 as amended.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 6, action item 6.1, 2021 coffee with council. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, there's a number of options in front of council with this agenda item. Ms. Brennan is on the phone that can speak to those options that she's created. Ultimately, administration is looking for some feedback on how you would like to handle coffee with council in 2021. Ms. Brennan?
Thank you. Ms. Brennan, do you have some further details to add?
For council's information, I know that she did.
Okay. Technical problem. Oh, she's right here.
Oh,
all right. Okay, thank you.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
So good afternoon, council. As you can see in the agenda item before you, administration is seeking your direction for Coffee with Council in 2021. And although COVID-19 has interrupted the 2020 Coffee with Council until further notice and may potentially impact it next year as well, we're asking for council's direction so we can make the necessary arrangements until such time that we have to adjust according to the health measures. Before you, you'll find a number of options for your consideration, including the frequency of events and location. So the public library reached out to us and requested and asked council to hold their events in their facility. So that is an option for council to consider. And I have spoken with Parkside Manor, and with the low rents that is currently occurring in 2021, their schedule is free and open for council as well. And I'm available if you have any other questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? All right, none whatsoever. Someone prepared to make a motion?
Your Worship.
Councillor Stravas.
Sorry, I wonder if because of the rising COVID cases that in the community, that we should put this on hold for the next 2 to 3 months and just see where it goes, rather than to defer this year and bring it back in the new year, as we have more information as far as what's happening with COVID.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Strovas. I think we should defer this particular item till at least the first meeting in February of 2021. But I'm not making a motion. I'm just making a suggestion here, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. That seems fair and reasonable for our administration also.
absolutely up to council what you do with this item.
All right. Just to clarify, we do not necessarily need a motion even just to defer to to be brought up again in 2021.
We would certainly request direction through a motion. Yes.
All right. All right. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion then that council instruct administration to defer the coffee with council happening till the first regular scheduled meeting in February 2021 for further discussion.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried now. Thank you. Item 6.2, South Grow Regional Initiative. Mr. Armfeldt.
Sometime back, council passed a motion requesting additional information from administration in the form of a cost-benefit analysis with regards to our participation going forward in South Grow Regional Economic Development Initiative. And so Ms. Monks is here to speak to that.
Right, thank you. Ms. Monks.
Worship and members of council. So at the October 26, 2020 regular meeting of council, administration was directed to provide council with input and a cost-benefit evaluation of the South Grow Regional Economic Development membership. Economic Development has provided a summary of projects and services that South Grow has provided in the past 2 years in order to assist council with their decision-making in your request for decision. So a few of the items that we've highlighted: the Peaks to Prairies EV charging station includes installation of a fast charge and regular charging station in the community center parking lot, an initiative that was facilitated by South Grow and is valued at $120,000 with zero cost to the town. The Regional Skills Gap Study, which has recently been completed, had $7,500 contributed by South Grow, which lowered the cost to the town. Initial asks for the town were to contribute $7,500. The town folio membership is provided to the town free of charge because of our membership. In 2018, we switched from local intel, which was costing $9,000 a year, Town Folio provides our department with graphics tools that summarize our demographics and are used by site selectors when searching for potential development locations. This saves the town $5,000 annually. Marketing of our Canada's premier food corridor and the region as a whole is benefited by the membership. When Tabor is not able to attend an event and Southgrow is in attendance, our marketing materials are on hand and they represent Tabor. With the recent trip to France, which Southgrow attended, the cost to the town to attend would have been $10,000. Other benefits have been summarized in your package as well. From an economic development perspective, the partnership with Southgrow is particularly beneficial in regard to investment leads. The province will often reach out to them when they've been approached by a business that's seeking a location in southern Alberta. Tabor is then invited to respond to these searches with potential opportunities and lands. Without this membership link, we may potentially lose those referrals. These items would be approximately $142,500. Additionally, the potential negatives in not being part of this larger group could be considered. We've provided some potential recommendations for Council's consideration, but of course that's dependent on discussion and your intention.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Strauss?
Your work.
Yes. Councillor Strauss.
A number of years ago, we added another individual into economic development there, and I was under the understanding that the town was going to do more of these, attend more of these functions and put up their to promote the town more. But now I see it, the town is kind of tagging along with Southgrow. I'm just wondering, why we're going this way when we were going to go the other way and do more of our own promotions.
Is that directed at Miss Monks, Councillor Strauss?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry. Well, it was a council decision that we did. So it's open for council discussion because we added another individual there. So I just more or less getting a feeling from the rest of council how they felt about this, because I'm not in favor of upping to $1 a person for increasing our fees. I think that that's a little hefty, but I'm just wondering how many of the other councils remember that conversation and that economic development was going to do more of its own presentations, promoting.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would be in favor of supporting Southgrow. I think it's a valuable connection, and with this COVID happening, and if it ever does clear up, people are going to be eager to get back into business, and if they're representing town and promoting our area, I think we should still support them. If we have to go $1, it's pretty high, but I think we're getting our value out of that $1. So.
All right, thank you. Mr. Armfield?
Related to Councillor Strovis's query, I would remind Council that this is a cost-benefit analysis based off of what we gain out of Southgrow rather than the activities of our particular staff. Certainly our particular staff within economic development do reach out and do things on their own, and I'm sure Ms. Monks can provide some examples with that regard. Just that what Ms. Monks was highlighting was that many of the opportunities to highlight Tabor and the region would likely not be there if we weren't within the Southgrow, we weren't members within that Southgrow organization. So we certainly, as Councillor Strovis has indicated, we are taking the lead in putting ourselves out there, as was the direction from Council. But our membership, what I believe Ms. Monks was trying to highlight, was that our membership with Southgrow avails ourselves to the opportunity to more of those types of efforts, rather than they open doors for us rather than just us going our own. So I think that was probably the key message from Ms. Monks on that. Not that we weren't doing something, it's just that Southgrow really opened some doors that just probably wouldn't be afforded if we were going it alone.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am the council representative on Southgrow, and I brought this forward because what my intention with it was is South Grow is looking for some feedback, whether municipalities would be willing to go up to $1. None of this is set in stone, but I do believe that there is value in being a part of South Grow. It gives us an opportunity to work collaboratively with other municipalities in our region. And when it's a win for the region, I think it's a win for all of us, whether it's based in Tabor or not. So I do see the value. And I'm just wondering if anybody has any feedback about which particular option they would be in favor of.
All right, thank you, Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I must admit that initially I was somewhat lukewarm towards the South Grow Regional Initiative. Having heard an explanation from Ms. Monks, however, and the benefits that we derive from being a member of South Grow Regional Initiative, I am prepared to support the existence of South Grow, and us being the second largest contributor, of course, makes a huge difference in their operational value and their possible staying alive. So I would support staying a member, and I agree with Councillor Firth that we have not set, the board has not set in stone the $1 per capita. Is that correct? So therefore, perhaps just a motion, perhaps that I might make, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
That we retain our membership in South Grow, pending the final analysis regarding membership costs.
All right, thank you. And I could just also clarify that I believe there's value in what Ms. Monks has presented, and I think it's got the benefit going forward as well, as Councillor Firth and or Mr. Armfield also indicated. So with that, there is a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 6.3, disc golf grant. Mr. Armfield.
Councillor, remember that there was a couple of young gentlemen that made a presentation to council with regards to a disc golf facility. Administration had applied for some grants in that regard. Council took that information, passed a motion taking it as information, and since there's been some evolution to our grants and we've been awarded a grant, and yes, please come up and Ms. Phillips discuss with council a few more details on that.
So as Mr. Armfeldt indicated, this was brought to the rec board level. It was supported as a delegation, and it was supported at that level. And so when this grant became available, we did apply for the grant, anticipating a potential future project. At the council discussion level, there was some concerns over the location on the north side of the trout pond. So when we received the grant, it did go to the audit committee for consideration, since it was a grant opportunity, and it was supported at the audit committee to bring it back to council. I met with Ms. Monks and Rob Jensen, our planner, who has a background in parks planning, at the trout pond, and we walked around the south side of the trout pond area, and we felt that that was a more suitable location. It wouldn't interfere with the horseback riders. It's away from the trails, and no real plans for development in that area, and we felt that that would be a suitable area. So we're coming back to council to request permission to use these funds to build a 9-hole disc golf course on the south side of the trout pond.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Ms. Phillips. Is the potential there, if council should grant the 9 holes, that we could expand it to 18? Is there enough land there to expand to 18 holes?
Yes, our plan would be, Mr. Jensen indicated he could basically come up with a plan for us, and we would work with the delegation that came forward in the first place, but we would lay it out so that it was 9 holes with potential to grow potentially to the southwest side of the trout pond as well, and so that we could have 18 holes in the future.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising?
Your worship, would it not? I was understanding that they wanted to be involved in the work out there and whatnot. Would it not be advantageous just to proceed with the 18 hole course right away as per their request?
Just to clarify, you directed that at Ms. Phillips?
No, the council. This is to council, because their request was for 18 holes, not 9 holes, if I remember correctly.
I believe that question came up, but I believe they weren't opposed to 9 either. That was asked by somebody, I believe, and that came up in the conversation. They'd be quite happy with the 9 hole. So I believe that was covered already in the messaging and or the question and answer period. Councillor Beckering.
Mr. Mayor, through to Ms. Phillips. Once this golf course is built, 9 or 18, doesn't matter, is there a regular scheduled maintenance to the rec department every year or parks department?
Yes, it would involve some maintenance. It doesn't need to be mowed finely like a golf course, but at least some rough cut mowing through the area, potential future growing of trees. We would work with this other group and if they wanted to, I think they'd want some of those hazards in place like trees. So there'd definitely be some maintenance through that area.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. And just to clarify, is believed to be $5,000 enough to cover to build the 9-hole portion?
The $5,000 would fund 9 of the targets and 60 discs that would be loaned out through the Aquafund Center. So we would work with this group, and then we would also be allocating some town resources for the mowing, and we'd work with this group in terms of installation as they had initially requested. They planned on potentially doing some fundraising to be able to fund the project, so we would work with them to build it.
I know they expressed more interest down at the north end, down in the bush area, more so. They're like the trees and paintball area, etc. I guess my only question and or concern I brought up before, but even in the south area, is that a safe zone? Because of that disc is a rather heavy item, and like they indicated that you don't want to take one in the head for sure. So is that safe enough? And however it was set up there, it doesn't affect anybody using the trail there along the way as well?
We would try to stay further south from the trails to keep them away from the. I mean, there's always that potential. You don't want me throwing a disc out there, because, but no, we would try to keep it away from the paths.
Fair enough. Thank you. All right. Any other questions arising? Councillor Firth.
No question, but I'd prepared to make a motion.
All right.
I would move that council directs administration to build a 9-hole disc golf course on the south side of Trout Pond to be funded by the Alberta Blue Cross grant.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Bruin.
I agree with Councillor Firth's motion, but should we maybe add to that for potential future growth into an 18-hole? Just if you accept that amendment, and I think starting with the 9 is a good idea, just because if it's not successful, we don't have to do a lot of extra work. So that's what I'd ask.
Sure, I would agree with that and accept that friendly amendment.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through Ms. Phillips. Has this group looked at this particular area, and do they agree with building one there or not?
We have not engaged them. We wanted to bring it back to council first, and then we will meet with them and make sure that they're also on board. I'm pretty confident that they were open to Trout Pond. We had initially said the north side, but so the next step would be we would reach out to them and make sure that they're on board.
All right, thank you. All right, once again, motion with a friendly amendment on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, Southern Alberta Trail Riders Association request, Mr. Armfeldt.
And next is Ms. Phillips as well. I might just turn this one right over to Ms. Phillips. Go ahead.
On September 14th, during standing items, Councillor Firth brought up that a member of the Southern Alberta Trail Riders Association requested the use of the old rodeo grounds as a staging area for trail rides. After council discussion, there was a motion made to explore the feasibility of parking at the old pro rodeo grounds, and it was defeated. Since then, the Alberta Trail Riders Association has asked that the town allow the equestrian activity to take place and be staged out of the Trout Pond parking lot, which we are hesitant to agree to without council discretion, as horses are not allowed at the Trout Pond, and that was part of the discussion of why the old rodeo grounds didn't work. So, administration presented this request to the Recreation Board, and Councillor Beckering made a motion that the Recreation Board directs administration to bring this request back to council for discussion. And what we're looking for is some direction as to whether or not you'd like us to, administration, to engage with this group to find a suitable location to be brought back to council for consideration.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in favor of this Southern Alberta Trails Riders Association, and it'd be a shame that we pushed them out. I still don't really understand why we didn't allow the Tabor Rodeo Ground to be used for this for a staging area. They're out of the way, and they wouldn't be bothering anyone on the trail. So I would like to see it go back to the old rodeo grounds like it was in the past.
Councillor Garner.
As I recall, one of our concerns about staging those out at the old rodeo grounds is that we didn't want to really commingle, if we could get away from it, horses and people and mountain bikers, joggers. I think that was the root of it, at least in my mind. I have no problem supporting an initiative like this. I think the location is key, though, and I'm just thinking this would be ill-advised to say, yeah, sure, set up in the parking lot when mothers are setting out strollers and herding kids down a pathway. I think that would not be a good thing. I just wonder if we couldn't look at a different location where they could marshal their horses and trailers, such as if you went past the way station at the landfill, there's a great big open field there. Why would we not say, hey, have at it? That road is serviced year round. And I'm all for the trail ride thing, but I just think the location has got to be appropriate.
I see part of that as an issue with the landfill being open the roughly 40 hours a week, is it? Somewhere in there. So, I mean, that's a pretty limited time that it's open for the amount that the riders like to get out there, and typically they're out there on the weekends for one. So that affects Sunday, obviously. So, yeah, that can be problematic in a number of ways from that perspective. But Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, just to add a bit more information for council's consideration. Administration's intent on this, and I believe the intent coming from the Recreation Board, was simply just to engage with the Alberta Trail Riders Association to see what might work for them, not necessarily to decide on a location this evening, but to actually have that conversation with them as to location options that they might find suitable to continue their passion, just not necessarily adjacent to the trout pond trails.
Thank you, Councillor Garner.
No, I've said my piece. So.
All right, Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to echo Mr. Armfeld's words because that's exactly what I was going to say. This is not for us to pick a spot. This is for us to have administration explore a possibility. I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
The council directs administration to engage with the Southern Alberta Trail Riders Association to discuss suitable options for staging in the town of Tabor for trail rides to be brought back to council for approval.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, IDP public hearing and special meeting potential dates. Mr. Armfield.
I believe we'll see Ms. Monks coming back here shortly. But the gist of this, until she shows up, is that we had a intermunicipal development committee meeting a few days ago, and that there was a motion passed to support the new intermunicipal development plan, and we were looking at some selection of some dates to actually do that in cooperation with the MD. Ms. Monks, do you have anything to add?
No, that's exactly true. They've given 3 potential dates, and we're just looking for some input.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm on the IMDP committee, and there was a discussion took place whether or not we should have a public hearing together as an MD in the town of Tabor or separately, and I think the general feeling was to hold it together. I believe, Ms. Monks, is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and which makes eminent sense to me. The only thing we have to do now is pick a date.
Right. All right. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right. Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could perhaps administration provide some dates?
Sorry, they were in the RT, so we have, I believe, the 12th, 13th, and 14th of January at 7 p.m. were the 3 options.
See that?
Current options.
Thank you. Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mr. Mayor, I'm willing to make a motion at this time. I move that Council directs administration to coordinate with the MD of Tabor administration to set the public hearing and special council meeting for the intermunicipal development plan for January 12th at 7 p.m. with January 13th at 7 p.m. as a potential backup date.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.6, third quarter financial statements. Mr. Arnfeld.
Yes, I believe Mr. Orwa will be joining us to run through the third quarter financial statements and the 2020 grant summary as it stands right now. Mr. Orwa, are you coming in person or on the phone? Mr. Orwa.
Sure.
Good afternoon, His Worship and members of council.
Afternoon.
So before you is the third quarter financial statements that has gone through the audit committee November 12th, and I think they dissected the statements pretty good, and they have just made recommendations for council to approve the statements. Now, before probably I proceed, there's just one comment that I would like to make on the statements, which has already gone through the audit committee. At this point, I think the only thing that I'm watching very closely is to make sure that we look at our net financial assets. And net financial assets mean, in a layman's language, if the town was to wind up today, are we able to pay all our liabilities? And the answer is yes. Now, it is still positive, so that tells me that everything is still good. Now, apart from the financial statements, I'm also trying to tie everything in with the grants as well, because it helps us a little bit also with the cash flow. So before you is the financial statements that we talked about, there is the balance sheet and other financial statements. The next segment attached also to the financial statements, before I give the council for any questions that might come up, I also want to touch on grants, because this is also part of the cash flow as we move along. Now, if you recall, in the second quarter, when we were presenting the financial statements for the second quarter, I did give council update on grants as well. And I've been segmenting those grants so that we see exactly where we are. Now, the first segment you can see is the grant received, that is money in the bank locked in. And you can see we have about 2.5 million. Now, out of that 2.5 million, the ones I've highlighted in yellow, those are the new ones that you did not see last time during the second quarter. And you can see the COVID money is now in. And the Blue Cross Disc Golf is also in. And of course, also from the Lethbridge Community Foundation. Now, I know Blue Cross, Ms. Phillips just presented that one long ago. And a question came about the 18 holes instead of 9 holes. We did factor that one in from financial standpoint. It's only that Blue Cross has already responded. If you go down deep somewhere, Mr. Arnfeld, if you go to the next segment, if you stop there, you can see Choose Well Disc Golf Club, another 5,000. So as soon as we get the second 5,000, that 18 holes will become a reality. And I'm hoping that that money will show up, because Choose Well, if you know, is just a provincial initiative of the Alberta Rec Association, which promotes and supports some of these policies and programs. So I'm hoping that we get that additional 5,000 so that the 18 holes that was asked earlier becomes a reality. Now, if you just go back a little bit for me on the grants received, the second segment is grants that have been approved, but we've not received them. But we know that money is coming. Now, the ones highlighted in yellow, those are the new ones that probably we did not see last time when we were presenting the second quarter. And you can see we are also doing very well, especially with the municipal climate change. There are a number of grants there that we hope to get now looking at some of those energy efficiency projects that we want to undertake in the Aquafan area and the community center. So that's about 6.6 million. That is grants approved, but we've not received them. And I'm sure money could be on the way. Then the next segment, just a little one line there, is what we are anticipating. This is the stimulus money that was announced by the province. We've not received it yet, but I hope we are going to receive that money as well. And remember, when we approve the capital projects, we've earmarked that 1 million to take care of the parking lots. So if it comes, then for sure, our parking lots will be paved. Then the next part of it is the grants that we have applied for, but we are still waiting for the results. So anytime we find those grants, we try to apply for them. And you can see as you come down, some of them are on high dollar values. The ones in yellow are the additional ones that we've processed, that is in the third quarter. And you can see, one other thing I want to comment there is, remember I said we are working with the community, non-for-profits, or to make sure that they also get the grants that they cannot apply for. So we assist them. And you can see I've been targeting the library because I know there's need there. I'm hoping that we generate some funds there for them as well. And you can see there are some particular areas whereby they would want to bring in the indigenous participation so that, those cultural issues come to a reality. And we are tying those in as well. So the library, you can see if we are lucky, we should be giving them some good money out there. And again, we are not leaving out other areas as well. Then the next, if you look at the bottom now, total grants received, you can see if we were to get everything from that list that we have applied for is about 12 million. But of course, you can see from the top that 2.5 million is already cash in the bank, and then approved one is about 6 million. So between those two, we already have almost 9 million. So we are trending in the right direction. Thank you very much. I think I'll just leave it for if you have any questions.
Mr. Orwa, are you prepared or okay speaking to this one here, the Aquafan Center implementation project, that combined heat and power unit?
So those are some, remember we had, all we are looking for is the energy efficiency.
Because I believe we got approval for this one last week, which is a bit exciting, but I don't think the money has landed yet, correct?
The money is not landed yet, but that's why I kept quiet. I like talking when the money is in the bank, but I think you're very right. Very soon, the next segment, you'll see that one going up to money being in the bank. But that is one area that at least we're very happy because it's a very high dollar amount.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Garner.
Chair, to Mr. Orwa, that MOST funding, has that money actually landed in an account here with us yet?
Yes, that is, if you can go back to the grant. So if you look at grants received in the bank, that is the most. Look at the first yellow one, municipal.
Yeah, I see it there.
So it's landed in the bank now.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, any other questions arising? Councillor Beckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Mr. Orwa. Under the anticipated grants, you got the one item there for the $1 million plus parking lots. That's been approved, has it not?
Yes, it is been approved, but sometimes when they're approved, they give us some clearance that it's now coming, expects this. But the reason why I put it as anticipated is because they've already put their location, but it's just sitting there and they've not told us anything outside there. We just know that we've been allocated 1 million and no correspondence yet. But I have a very strong feeling that it will land soon.
If I could add a bit more commentary to your question. I've never seen as much confusion and inconsistent messaging out of the province related to grants as what we've experienced in the last 3 or 4 months. the approach to communications, the approach to approving grants, which were standard documentation, the approach to getting the money has been highly irregular and very unpredictable. I'll just let council know that it's been chaotic, essentially, which is why Mr. Orwa came up with this spreadsheet so we could have some order to the chaos, because as we've discussed, as much as a couple of weeks ago, the approach of the province has just been absolutely unpredictable with regards to communications on these grants. You're approved, but you don't have money, and then some money just comes in, and we haven't actually applied for the grant. So it's been really confusing and chaotic on just where the money's coming from and when.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am prepared to make a motion, but first I just had a question through to Mr. Armfeldt. Has there been any indication that they were going to claw back any grants that have been approved, or it's just been chaotic as far as the implementation?
It's been chaotic as far as the implementation. The indication that we've got is that the purse strings are open pretty loose this year, but do not expect that going forward in 2021. We've actually received correspondence, I believe we've shared with council to that regard, that money's flying at the end of 2020 to bring us through 2020 and into 21, but don't expect there to be too much in 2021, which is good and well we're being so aggressive now. We've been having some success, but that's kind of the indication. Nothing that's going to be clawed back or not given. We haven't received really any indication. I haven't had any sense of that. But the well is probably going to run dry in 2021.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Yeah, I can go ahead with the motion,
Sure.
certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the unaudited financial statements for the 9 months ending September 30th, 2020 for information purposes.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin, you had another question, or you're just looking to chime in for a motion?
I can make the second motion.
All right, fair enough. All right, thank you. Motion on the table.
That council accepts the
Just hang
grant
on,
summary.
Councillor Bruin.
I'm sorry.
Just got to deal with number one first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. You were just a lip there. I just want to make sure that you didn't have any questions.
No, that's good. Thank
So, related to Councillor Firth, she has a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. All right, Councillor Bruin, second portion.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that council accepts the grant summary for information purposes.
Thank you. Motion on the table.
And with that too, I'd also like to thank our staff for the great job of getting all these grants and organizing it for us like this.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.7, disposal of municipal documents, administrative services. Mr. Armfeldt.
Yes, is Ms. Van Ham or Ms. Keir on the line to speak to this one?
Yes, I'm on the line, Mr. Armfeldt.
Please go ahead, Ms. Van Ham.
Sure. So administration review documents that we've had in our tickle trunk, shall I say, for quite some time. We've just started going through them and compiling ones that are needing to be destroyed in accordance with the records retention bylaw. So we've compiled this list. We're going to keep going at it, but there's some for council's consideration. In accordance with the records retention bylaw, it is a requirement that council does authorize it through a resolution.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion at this time that council approves the destruction of the documents identified in the attached list per the retention period identified in Schedule A by the bylaw number 10-99, retention of municipal documents.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.8, Municipal District of Tabor Council appointments. Mr. Armfeldt.
Council will remember that your organizational meeting was at the end of October, and similarly the MD of Tabor's was as well. There are a number of members from the MD on Tabor that sit on boards in cooperation with the town of Tabor. And related to that, there is a requirement that the town of Tabor passes a motion recognizing who those MD of Tabor representatives are. And that is the intent of this RFD. And you have a couple of motions in front of you for consideration. Ms. Van Ham, would you like to add anything to that?
No, you've captured it well, Mr. Armfeld. It is because they are councils, boards, and committees, and they are instigated through the town of Tabor. That's the reason this is coming to you.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Mayor, thank you. I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council recognizes the Municipal District of Tabor's appointments to the Joint Economic Development Committee and the Intermunicipal Development Committee, and on the basis of the recommendation of the Municipal District of Tabor Council, appoints municipal district representatives to the town boards as follows. Town of Tabor Recreation Board, Councilor John Tricato, Councilor Brian Bruin as alternate. Number 2, Town of Tabor Arts and Heritage Committee, Councilor Tamara Mianaga. And number 3, Tabor Municipal Library Board, Councilor Tamara Mianaga and Councilor Jennifer Croshan as alternate.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.9, department reports. All right, I'll go through them individually. If any questions, please advise. First off is HR activity report. Finance activity report. Recreation activity report. Plan and economic development report. Engineering and Public Works Department report. Treatment Facilities Public Works Department. Fire Department report. Administrative Services activity reports. And CAO activity report. No questions arising. Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the department reports for information.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 610, Mayor and Council reports. Councillor Garner.
Nothing specific to bring up other than I've attended all the necessary meetings. Monthly Chamber of Commerce meeting. I attended a Arts and Heritage and Culture meeting. Also had the opportunity to participate and enjoy Winterfest this past weekend.
All right, thank you. Councillor Stravas.
Yes, Your Worship. I've been attending through Microsoft meetings with the Alberta Japan Municipal Twinning Association. We have our AGM set up remotely for this Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. and I'll be attending that remotely. I'm also on the board of directors now that I'm the chairman host here. There will be a small $1,000 grant given to the town to help carry out some of the events at this conference in 2021. That's all.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
I have nothing to report. I attended all meetings I could and should have, and congratulate town for looking so good after that snowfall. That's about it.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
I attended all of my regular meetings as well as a couple of EOC meetings and also attended Winterfest, which was very well done. So thanks to the Chamber for that.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report of any significance.
All right, thank you. For myself, I attended the November 11th special Cenotaph celebration event. Also able to attend the Winter Festival this past weekend. Was also very well done. As indicated, attended a variety of meetings, both virtual and otherwise, and several media interviews as well. That would be my complete report. Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the mayor and councillor reports for information.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to standing item council requests. Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I've had several citizens brought forward concerns regarding the pandemic and the number of positive cases in our municipality and surrounding MD. Most of these concerns have been centering around our lack of a mask bylaw, why we don't have one, is it possible to implement one? And so I am bringing this forward as promised and looking for some feedback from my fellow councillors.
All right, thank you. Councillor Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to respond to Council first.
And you also had another
thing. So
item.
can I bring up my item up first?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just question for administration. I guess I had a person called me or spoke to me face to face regarding our brown garbage cans. He has a growing family, and he says the can is too small. So he phoned the town and asked for an extra can. They said, no, you're not allowed one. Is that correct or not?
Mr. Armfeldt.
Mr. Chair, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am, Mr. Armfeldt.
Can you please take this question?
Yes. So we've brought this back to council 2 or 3 times. We're very clear in your direction is that the size of the garbage container is the size of the garbage container. We are not to bring back any larger garbage containers unless there is a viable need or somebody with special needs that, there's a lot of diapers, things like that. That was the only time we were to, send out an additional bin or a larger bin. So we can bring this back for council's consideration if you would like.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Councillor Becker, you wanted to respond to Councillor Firth's ask also?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've also been contacted by several people regarding our mask or non-bylaw. And my general response has been, well, whether I agree with the masking bylaw or not, I find it extremely difficult to justify discussing it because of the very much difficult time the police might have to enforce it because it becomes almost unenforceable. So therefore, I kind of left it alone. Personally, I'm not in favor of a mandatory mask bylaw, but for heaven's sake, wear a mask.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've had numerous calls the past week about masks, and my answer has been we're following the provincial guidelines. As of now, I'm thinking in the future something's going to happen with our provincial government that's going to make the laws for us so they don't make the municipalities take all the weight of making people wear masks. But I'm in favor of wearing masks if it's going to help our economy and prevent another lockdown.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Chavez?
I have an item I'd like to bring forth. From day one, I was a huge proponent of our 3-bin system, our composting, our garbage, and our recycling. And I attended to the site at Strathmore that was so contagious, so critically contagious that GFL undertook to clean up. I also attended to their site in Penhold, which was a nice, clean site. It was very well manicured, very well looked after. But I've had some numerous conversations with Don Francis over the years, and I appreciate the fact that they look after our composting, and our composting is an integral part of our 3-bin system. And we won awards for being progressive in this manner. I'm a little concerned about a letter that was sent to them indicating that they were required to fence all four sides of their property out there. Now, just for clarification, I don't ever remember that being a council decision on this, or is it something that is missed? Could I perhaps have clarification on this?
That clarification to administration?
Yes, because they received a letter telling them that they are to install fences all around the property, and it states that at this time only the east side fence has been installed. And I was under the impression that that's all we ever asked them to do, was to put up a fence on the east side.
We have Ms. Monks here also, I guess. Are you going to speak to that, or Mr. Armfield?
I can open it up, and then with some support from Ms. Monks. Do you have the contents of that letter? I could bring it up on my computer, but I guess I can answer this in just a general statements about development permits and wanting to ensure compliance with development permits, and wanting to make sure that locations in the town that are doing activities on their parcel, that those activities stay on their parcel. So within the Municipal Government Act, there is a variety of tools to make sure that that happens. Council will remember that certainly last year there was a pretty significant event of a number of plastic garbage bags and other debris flying out of the compost area, which predicated a conversation with GFL to erect some sort of fencing around their facility to make sure that their material stayed on site in their facility. And that is really an obligation of our development group to make sure that they're ensuring that within the confines of the development permit that is issued, that all the activity on that site stays within that site. So it was clear that that wasn't happening. The garbage bags were blowing out of the site. So it's not necessarily a council matter. It is an operational matter and an administrative matter to make sure that when we issue a development permit, that development permit is adhered to. And if that development permit is not being adhered to, it's an administrative matter to use the tools within the Municipal Government Act, which is a stop order process. It doesn't mean that you stop acting, stop whatever you're doing, but it is a tool that allows us to compel any landowner that has a development permit to do a particular action as a remedy. So that is what administration has been working towards with GFL. GFL has committed to building a fence on the east side of their property, and we're hoping that that solves the problem of blowing debris. We did receive additional complaints from through the CAO of the MD to myself from residents, from landowners in the MD with regards to additional blowing bags at the beginning of November. So we have engaged with GFL in our capacity as administration to warn them, you need to get that fence on the east side constructed. And if the fence only on the east side, if that does not suffice, you may have to look at building fences all around your site in order to prevent garbage from blowing out of that site onto adjacent properties. And that's simply our directive based off of the Municipal Government Act and looking after our development permits and looking after our good neighbor status with the MD.
All right, thank you. And from my recollection, Councillor Chavez, you had a comment?
Well, yeah, so you go ahead and comment and then I'll follow up.
All right, from my recollection, GFL indicated when they were presenting to us last year and did their due diligence and cleaned up the area with many days in the field, north and, I guess it'd be north and east of the location. And I remember them indicating it was not going to be a continued problem, ensuring this would not be a continued problem, and that was the fencing was looking to take care of that particular problem, and or indicating that they were looking to do at least 2 fences, the east and or north fence. And so, as has been indicated, there's been debris let out of that particular facility location, and so right now, I'm not sure when that fence went up, but it's only the east fence, and the north fence has not been constructed at that location. So the location is still problematic. Councillor Chavez?
Yes, Your Worship. Those fences are quite costly, and the letter that was sent to them from the town of Tabor, of course, is dated November the 9th. At that time, we were still using plastic bags to put into our compost bins and whatnot. So there's going to be a little bit of run over, and yes, there has been a little bit of an issue. And I just think this is an initiative that council put through to go to this environmentally sound 3-bin system, that we work with these people, with GFL, and to try to come up with a solution rather than send them a nasty stop work letter. They have also sent a letter back, and they're quite concerned about fencing the whole property off. And I would like this put back onto the next council agenda, because they have some other things that they would like to do there. Because if they were to pull out of their contract because of significant costs, that would virtually kill 40% of our waste stream going into a compost facility. And whether or not we could find another operator to operate this type of facility or not is another question. But I really think, as a partner in our community, it would be wise for us to work with them rather than to hold their feet to the fire and try to get them to commit to doing something. But they have a different angle of doing something on that property that would help to facilitate fencing that complete property all the way around. And I think it's something that council should put on their next agenda and review with them.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Arfield, you're in need of a motion related to that? Ask.
If you would like to provide us with a motion, I think if council should all weigh in on this fact, or there should be a notice of motion, or you can indicate to me when we're doing the next council agenda to make sure this stuff gets on there. I think it's probably for closed session, because there has been some correspondence back and forth. I would like council to see exactly what has come out of the development department with regards to our directions from them related to ensuring that everything that goes on site stays on site. So I would request that if it does go back, that we actually discuss it in closed, because there is personal communications, confidential communications between our two entities there.
Right. In all fairness, we did have that enclosed before, as I recall. So and just to reiterate that there is very much operational concerns involved here, and for whatever reason, delays on their part. So it's appropriate follow-up, and indicates that we would not see debris leaving in future. Has still continued, and that's not good, unfortunately. But yes, absolutely. Councillor Chavez, you be prepared to make a motion to ask for that item to move into a closed session for next meeting?
Your Worship, you can add that as an agenda item when you set the agenda, because administration has all the letters and all the documentation to go with that. I think we can leave that in your capable hands.
All right, thank you. Anything more on that to add? All right. And in all fairness, we weren't finished with Councillor Firth's questions and or concerns about the potential masking requirement. So I have also had a number of calls related to that, and fielded those accordingly. And I can say I know even Coaldale is looking at that as a possibility going forward. But it seems to me the bylaw question is a concern, as Councillor Becker indicated also. It becomes difficult to enforce. And, bylaws quite often have holes in them, and this would be no different, and they're finding that out now. Others that have implemented that bylaw. So I don't know how well a bylaw takes care of this question or concern. I really believe it's more of an AHS and or provincial mandate requirement. And that type of legislation has way more strength than any bylaw ever could. And as Councillor Bruin indicated, it looks like that's a possibility that's coming. By some of the messages that's gone out in the last 4 or 5 days, and we may hear some more this week. But failing that, I think there's an indication there could be some regional interest to do something our end as a region. And so we could potentially look at that also as a potential option. But honestly, going with the bylaw route, I don't see that as the end-all be-all answer. Better to be the AHS under provincial legislative process. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Bruin.
I'd just like to say I agree with what you're saying, Andy. And, if people would voluntarily wear masks and not make us go through all this, but be safe, wear a mask.
All right, thank you. Councillor Chavez.
Yes, Your Worship, I heard through the news media today that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, the vaccines will be rolled out to administer to people at risk, the healthcare professionals, seniors in senior homes, and this type of thing. So I think we'll find as these vaccines come rolling out here in the next few weeks, this will become less and less of the issue, because the vulnerable populations will all be they'll all be vaccinated appropriately here, and probably a good portion by the end of December.
All right, thank you.
Will you be first in line, Joe, for vaccine?
No, you should be, Jack, because you have an immune system that needs it.
Yeah, I'll go after you.
All right, any other discussion on this particular standing item? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would agree with the issue of enforcing a bylaw. I don't believe in enacting a bylaw that we aren't prepared to enforce or we aren't able to effectively enforce. That's just lip service to me and a waste of time. My other concern is that it would fall to business owners to have to enforce that, which I don't think is fair to put on our business community that are already stressed and have been greatly impacted by this pandemic. However, I do understand the concerns. So my motion would be to direct administration to research the feasibility of enforcing a mask bylaw for the town of Taber and to bring that back to a future meeting.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Arfield, that's enough information for the moment.
If that's what council is looking for, yes, there's oodles of information that has been gathered there in the last few months on that matter.
And
yes.
In the meantime, there could be some major changes that will alleviate that also as a possibility, but all right. Motion on the table.
Your Worship.
Councillor Chavez.
Yes, I'm assuming that motion would have to be sent back to the police commission to investigate that, how they would, how the police force would or to the police chief, how it would be enforced. So, I mean, we're going to be taking a look at 2 to 3 months in order to get, something back. And by then, I'm pretty sure that that will become very much non-issue as the vaccines get rolled out.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Councillor Stravas. Yes, that would be my intent, was to find out through the police commission and through the police chief whether it is enforceable or not. And I hope it doesn't take that long. And like I said, if the vaccines come out, that's great. If it's a moot point, then so be it. But I believe we need to start somewhere.
All right, thank you. Councillor Garner?
I'm not sure. Are you finished with standing items? You got to Councillor Stroas, and then it seemed like
we're not. We're still dealing with the mask.
Fair enough.
Potential here.
I'll wait until I get my turn to say my piece.
Thank you, Mr. Armfield.
If the intent is to have administration take this to the Municipal Police Commission to weigh in on the implementation of this matter, then I would like that put into the motion, please. There's been enough municipalities that don't have the benefit of a police commission go through this process and ask their lawyers whether a mask bylaw is enforceable or not. And so the news and the opinions of the legal field are out there and they are readily available. So it would not be my intention actually to take this to the police commission to get them to weigh in on it. So if council would like us to take it to the police commission for their opinion on enforceability, I would like that put in the motion, because my intent would be to simply approach a municipality that has gone through this research already, that they have paid a lawyer the big bucks to find out what the answer is, and to dust that off and bring it back to council for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Just to clarify, I don't believe there is now a police commission sitting meeting until January, is there not?
I believe Wednesday coming up.
Is there one coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, but it's all,
Yes,
okay. So it's already set, though.
Correct, the agenda is out.
Yes, all right. So that creates a problem. But again, the following meeting then would be January, right? There's no December meeting, right? Okay, yeah. So, all right, you still comfortable with that motion all the way around, Councillor Firth?
I think I will stick with the motion that I read initially. If administration believes that there's enough legal information out there to bring back, then that's good enough for me.
It's about 3 weeks till the next meeting for that purpose. So,
yeah.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruni, another question? Okay. All right, Councillor Firth's motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right. Sir, there was we're still on standing item council requests, and Councillor Garner, you had one?
No, I was just going to chime in on the discussion, but the vote's already been taken, so that's fine. I'll reserve my comments. My comment was my vote.
All right, thank you. All right, there are no delegations. Media inquiries. Any media inquiries whatsoever?
I have received the text message, Your Worship, and there are no questions from the Tabor Times.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, I have a motion to take a 10-minute recess and move into closed session upon return. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried now. Thank you.